Hey Samford fans, welcome into the 2022 Samford baseball season preview presented by Coca-Cola. I'm John McAfoose, joined of course by head baseball coach Tony David. Tony, appreciate you being here, and season right around the corner. Arkansas State coming to the Griff this weekend.
Yes, it'll be here before we know it, whether we like it or not. So yeah, we're excited about it. Obviously, a tremendous amount of change for almost everybody on the roster and on the coaching staff. So, but yeah, man, we're excited about getting started.
Well, a lot of new faces, as you just mentioned. We'll get to them momentarily, but let's start with some of the key returners. And position player-wise, you've got a few key guys from last year's team coming back. Towns King, Will David, Caden Dreyer. When you look at that group, I mean, how important are they to your team, not just on the field, but I mean from a leadership perspective with how many new faces you have?
Yeah, you know, I'm a big believer in the concept of captains, both named and unnamed. So those three guys are just incredible leaders. They're good players too. You know, you want your captains need to be impactful on the field as well, and not just the leadership. But you know, they're the kind of guys that you know are the first out, last off. They're dragging the field, they're raking, they're doing all those things. So on the field, you know, Will and KD, you know, are everyday starters, and they're the only. Really are only two that were there every day. Towns got significant playing time and obviously had an incredible finish to the year as the tournament MVP and hit some big home runs there. So those guys are going to be critical for such a not only youthful roster but an inexperienced roster. And then Garrett Howe is another one that because of an injury or two last year got some significant playing time that'll matter to help him leading into this year.
The rotation we know is going to look a little bit different as well, an all-new rotation this year. You've got Jacob Cravey lined up to go Friday night this weekend, and then you've got Blake Bortak and Jalen Long. Those are three guys that they have some experience. I thought Cravey was really impressive last year. We saw Bortak get some good experience as a freshman, and Jalen Long maybe looking for the consistency, but we've certainly seen flashes of him look really good.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, I use the term innings capital a lot, and we've got a lot of innings capital built up in Jalen, and he's a guy that you know, he's got a pitch that's as good as any in the league. So Jalen has been really good for us most of the time here in his time here at Samford, and is certainly ready for a weekend role. Jacob Cravey and Blake Bortak are both sophomores that got some valuable experience last year and are part of that youth movement that we need to have success. And both those guys are true frontline SoCon types of pitchers that throw strikes and have a chance to be electric.
You lose some guys in the bullpen as well, obviously. Chase Isbell and Carson Cupo are gone. Who are maybe some of the guys you're looking at to be those high leverage late inning guys?
Gene Hurst is another guy who's battled some stuff on and off, just staying healthy over the years. But Gene is a great one. He's an older guy for us. He got, after a rough start last year, was incredibly consistent down the stretch and was probably our best reliever in terms of his performance on the mound. Gene will be a part of the back end, and then Carson Hobbs is another sophomore in that sophomore class. That those two guys will be the guys that when the final out's recorded, right now we're playing on one of those two, getting that final out. Mason McCormick is a guy that had a really good fall and a really good part of this part of the spring practices and scrimmages. That'll be some part of that back end. And then Alex Goff was a junior college transfer from a couple of years ago. Didn't get a lot of innings last year, but those four guys will kind of make up the back end of the game for us.
As far as midweek starters, what's the plan with that role?
It's a plan in progress. You know, one of the things we've done in the past that we will continue with in a perfect world is we like to go with a younger guy that's talented there to just build up innings. And then there'll be an occasional Tuesday where we throw a lot of guys. My hope is to avoid using 10 guys on a Tuesday. My version of Johnny Holstaff will be a little bit different than what sometimes has been done in the past. You know, the reality is you need that to get guys experience on occasion. But, you know, we'll go into it planning on that guy going, you know, hopefully 3 or 4 innings and then getting other guys experience on the back end. But we've got some guys, Will Lynch, Michael Ross, that are guys that are incoming freshmen that have had good falls and good beginning to springs that I think will help us there.
Let's talk about some of the new faces. You've got a couple transfers coming in from Power 5 schools. You've got Case Garner, a catcher from Mississippi State, Maurice Hampton Jr. from LSU, and then, of course, a whole handful of freshmen. Who are some of the new faces that we might see early, maybe as soon as this weekend?
Yeah, Garner will be a part of the catching combination with KD and will DH more often than not when he's not catching. You want to try to keep both those guys fresh behind the plate. Joe Salvo is another of our returning guys that will be a part of that equation. Maurice Hampton, we talked about, is transferred in from LSU. You know, incredible talent. You know, when when you play baseball and football at LSU and football on a national championship level, you're really playing football and you're doing baseball when you have time. So, for Mo, combination of COVID the last couple of springs and football, he hadn't played a whole lot of baseball in the last couple of years. So, we're excited about what his potential is. Brody Westbrooks came in from Georgia Tech, so right-handed pitcher that'll see important innings here these first couple of weekends for sure, that has done well. And then Colin Ahern transferred in from Tennessee. He's a left-handed pitcher that will see some time in relief. That'll be a valuable part of it. And then last one is Drew Byers. Drew came in from Notre Dame as an infielder hitter / pitcher. That's really had a good start to the spring on the mound. Drew's going to have a chance to help us on the mound in relief, and he's power potential at the plate.
That sophomore class is a class you've been really excited about. They came in last year. I know there was a lot of hype around them, and they didn't get a ton of opportunities because of the COVID situation, and you guys brought everyone back last year. But that whole class returns. Just talk a little bit about the expectations for that group.
Yeah, I've been very open about that from day one, including the day that I officially took over, trying to reach out to as many of those guys as possible. But it's a talented group, that we have high expectations for. It's just inexperienced, and so we feel like those transfers came in late in the summer. They were needed. We had to have them. But our success is going to be told based on that 2020 class, the current sophomores, some of which redshirted last year that are freshmen now. As soon as they figure it out, which we'd love that to be Friday, as soon as they figure it out, we're going to have a chance to do some things. But keeping those guys here this summer and keeping them together, it was a big part of this program, not only this year but moving forward. I've been open about our hopes and expectations for this year, but specifically over a 2-year plan. If these guys coming back with just 2 seniors on the roster this year, and 30 of the 40 being freshmen and sophomores, it's a chance to be really special next year. So we're excited about that group.
Challenging non-conference schedule as always. You've got Florida State the second weekend of the season. Of course, you've got Alabama and Auburn later on. You've got Mississippi State at the Hoover Met. You've got a series with Memphis. What are you most looking forward to in the non-conference portion?
You want the guys to be challenged, and we talk about all the time with them. They're here for the Samford experience, certainly. They're here to play and have playing time and enjoy the college experience, but they want to win championships and they want to compete against the best. So, the only last time we had this much of a roster turnover was way back to 2013, where we lost most of the roster and had a lot of new guys. The schedule was a little more friendly for that season than what we've been left with this year, but that's what the guys want. We want them to be challenged. Obviously, everyone's excited about going down to Florida State right now, that second weekend. And then, but a program like Southeast Louisiana, who's good every year, their regional program year in, year out. Memphis has been consistent, and they've gotten several impactful portal guys on their side of things. So it's, the defending national champions, Mississippi State, Alabama and Auburn twice. So, we'll find out a lot, early and try to work towards being the best we can be when conference play starts.
You guys are picked around the middle of the conference from the coaches, a little bit higher by the media. Tell us a little bit just about what your expectations are for this year and what you see from the rest of the conference.
People have asked me about that since that stuff came out. The reality is if you're in the outside world and you look at it on paper, there's no reason to think that it's not going to be a struggle. And so, the media probably picked us as high as they did just on reputation alone, right? And so when you lose what we've lost and some guys you thought were going to be back that jump ship, both in terms of the mound and position player-wise, in a perfect world, you'd like to be at least strong in one of those two and try to fix the other. So it's a complete redo. So when you have so much newness and so much inexperience, a little bit less about the beginning. Our style of play is going to be a little bit different based on the roster. So we still have high hopes because, again, the standard is the standard, and I think we're going to have a chance to compete in our league.
Coach, appreciate your time. Looking forward to getting things started.
All right, thanks.
Head coach Tony David, Samford Baseball kicks it off this weekend at home against Arkansas State. That'll do it for the 2022 Samford Baseball season preview presented by Coca-Cola.